but then everything is, right? Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shriyam Devaah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhairyajatraah Sthirairangai Stushtabhagam Sastanubhih Yashema Devahitam Yadayuh Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravah Swasti nः Pusha Vishwavedaः Swasti nastarksho arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati'r dadhatu Om Shanti 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 Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yeah, it was moving at a good pace, at a nice pace. Now it has come and stopped on the 14th, verses 13 and 14. 13 is important because it is a Mahavakya, number one. And why else is it important? Because it is introducing the concept, it's introducing Ishvara there. And the third reason, and the more practical reason why it is important, is because it's going to revisit us in verse 15. So we cannot forget about it. That's why I said we have to write it in letters of gold, correct? If not gold, let it at least be in bold. Okay? Because, the Upanishad is not mixing metaphors, but going back and forth in a particular way. And that is what is highlighted over here. So, for verse number 14, don't think, the verse number 13 is very clear. Pot is moved, but does the space inside the pot move when pot is moved? Answer is, short answer, long answer, medium-sized answer is what? No. No, it is, space doesn't move. In fact, pot moves in space. Because space is stationary, we can even cognize the movement of the pot, correct? Yeah. So that's important because then the question arises, who is moving the pot? Because pot move ठीक है, pot stationary ठीक है, but इधर से उधर, who is taking the pot from here to there, right? Who is taking the pot? And so you can say, and here again rife with possibilities, raga dveshas, raga dveshas, quote unquote, situated in the pot. That's not equal to space, but raga dvesha situated in the pot are taking the pot back and forth, right? That could be the case. Because based on desire causes movement. Yes, because if there is no desire, there is no movement. Either at the level of the body-mind complex or in the collective, when we talk about the collective. That's why in sleep, there is no movement, No, what about sleepwalking? That's different. That's different. That's a disease. That's not, we're talking of what is in the regular, what is considered normal. Okay. So who is moving the pot is answered if one had a question. Okay, the space doesn't move, only the pot moves. Space is consciousness. Space is Ishvara, which has breathed life into this pot, so to speak. Space is Ishvara sitting in the midst of teeming raga and dvesha. There is a raga dvesha invasion. In the midst of it, Shantatma, Ishvara, unperturbed, sits. And we have seen this in the Mundaka Upanishad. Where have we seen this? Two birds sitting on what? The same branch, greatest of friends, hugging one another. And one is very, very restless. For what? Berries. And the other one is completely at peace with itself. That's where the similarities stop. They are greatest of friends, they are hugging each other, embracing each other, they are sitting on the same branch. Not for long, because one of them hops from branch to branch in search of berries. It is hoping for a sweet berry, but more often than not, what does it get? A very rancid, rotten berry. And it curses its karma as it spits out the berry and the seed. And so this is what is called quote unquote jiva bird, correct? And in fact there is only one bird. You cannot say how many birds are there, you cannot say two, correct? Two one sees, why? Because one is, taken the many to be real. That's why one says there are two birds. And the Upanishad goes along with the ignorance because it has to start somewhere. And if it says there is no Jagat, nobody will come to the classes. Already we are having, attrition. And so, and then you say, there is no Jagat. Neither do you have problems, nor is there Jagat. All that is Ishvara, and that Ishvara is you. It's like a plane flying overhead. It just makes noise. That's all. Nothing is comprehended. So therefore the Upanishad has to get, down to the level of the ignorant jiva. How low it has to go. Poor thing. And she has to get down on her hands and knees where this fellow is wallowing in the mud of his own self-pity, its own self-pity, her own self-pity, and say, look, first let me give you a hand. And yes, there is Jiva, there is Ishvara. In fact, both of them are within you. Oh, really? Okay. Before the person was sinking in the quicksand, now at least the hand is given to be hoisted up, And so like this gradually the teaching goes. And as we see in the Mundaka Upanishad, these two birds are really one. There is no Jiva bird, Ishvara bird. There is only Ishvara bird. The Jiva is the Jivatvam is the shadow of this consciousness. It's the shadow side. So this bird casts a shadow, and that shadow is ignorance, and then anything that grows under that ignorance is poisonous. That's all. Plants that grow in the shade are not as healthy. A few herbs barring, not as healthy as the plants that grow in the sun. So these shady things, Ragadvesha jungle, grows in this shadow, and the shadow gets nurtured, and the shadow gets a new frock for every Diwali season, and the shadow gets, the shadow gets a name, and the shadow gets a social security number. And here the same thing, the pot, meaning this body, mind, sense complex, along with, because of the Ragadveshas which was incarnated, is taken from place to place. It doesn't say it moves, because pot cannot, it's inert, it cannot move. So it has to have an impetus for it to move, and that impetus, we are back on 13, that impetus has to come either from its own Ragadveshas, a self-driven impetus, which is again possible because of free will which is given. So it is really not self-driven, ultimately it's all Ishvara, but for the time being we can say it's self-driven impetus, and because of which it says, I want this, so I am moving there, I want that, I am moving here. So it has an inner propeller, I want, powered by wants, which takes it places, correct? Or it is moved by the Ragadveshas either of the current time or the past. What are the Ragadveshas of the past? Karma. Yes, Ragadveshas that have combusted into karma, and the ashes of karma phala have accrued to this entity, and the power of the karma phala, in other words, Ishvara's hand here, because Ishvara is karmadhyakshaha, karma phala data, the giver of the fruits of action. Whose action? Neighbors. No, my own action. Who is this Ishvara to give me the results? Well, because what you do now, is what you do now, you don't know when it will come and in what form it will come, how soon it will come. Whether it will come in this life or other lives, you don't know. And whether it is punya, papa, sometimes you wonder, but you quickly find out. Experiencing the results of action, you quickly find out. And so this papa punya is all just like this, all over the place. And the papa punya is not, targeted only at you. You are not, you are not the only one accruing karma phala. Look around, everyone is. Even though each one says, why me, it sounds funny. Why me in a chorus, is why us. Correct? So then it's no longer why me. Correct? There's only bhai me. Bhai me is a commentary on Paninian grammar. There is no why me. Okay? So this is very interesting, because this karma phala, it becomes an order. And since it is an order, I don't feel targeted, because I know that everybody is enjoying or suffering the karma phalas. You look at this neighbor, you look at that neighbor, you look left, you look to the right. No, but they all seem very happy. Yes, seem is the operative word. You go a little closer, they will be unraveling at the seam. Yeah. Oh, I thought I was the only one. No. So this is the whole situation. And so this being the situation, niyamane ghate, so the ghata moves in response to its own karma phala, let us say. Not ghata, the jiva moves in response to her own karma phala, correct? Or the jiva moves in response to the material, the raw material which fructifies as karma phala. What is that? Raga dvesha. Because, karmani, with reference to karma, there is, you have to have desire. Without desire, there is no karma. We have seen this on several occasions. So that longing, is raw material for desire. Raw material for action. And the action is the raw material for result of action. So indirectly, longing is the raw material for papa punya. So either one is driven around by the winds of papa punya, or one is driven around by the raw materials of papa punya, which is raga dvesha. A very sobering thought. Okay? And what is the nice thing about this? The only redemption is that, when you say, I am not this papa punya, I am not the propeller of the movement, I am not the raw material, I am not the karma phala, I am not this. What am I? Chidananda rupaha shivoham shivoham. I am chidakasha. I am that, space. I am that space like consciousness, free of guilt, hurt, therefore free of papa punya, and then it becomes very easy. So that is the whole point in verse number 13. The verse number 13 is a Mahavakya for two reasons. One is Jivaha Nabhopamaha. So even though what that Nabha is not given, is not talked about what that space is, it is going to be Anuvritta, continued in 15 in a slightly different form. Even though what that is not talked about. What is talked about is the word Jiva is there. And Nabha here is really Ishvara, because the word Jiva is used. Jiva here means the one who has a sense of longing, sense of incompleteness, that one. So, this Jiva who thought I am Jiva is actually that space-like consciousness which is Ishvara. But, yeah, it's a Mahavakya, it's very beautiful, it's wonderful and all these reasons, but there is a difference. There is no Aikya, Ekata is not there. There is no oneness. Why isn't there oneness? Because I am a small pot in space and I am being moved from place to place. By who? Ishvara. So how can I be Ishvara? Well, that movement is mithya. That movement is mithya, and karma phala and the results of action and the actions themselves are a model until one gains this knowledge. It's a model, it's a working model, that's all it is. It's a working model for the person to revert back to oneself, to make a U-turn from just always grinning at objects and wanting to, accrue them, And so to make a U-turn and make oneself the topic of enquiry. The subject is the topic of enquiry. Avichara krito bandhaha vicharena nivartate. We have seen this in Panchadashi. So all notions of bondage are for the person who does not do this enquiry. Through proper enquiry, the bondage vanishes. And so here too, niyamane ghate, and what happens? Ghato niyeta na akasham. That unchanging consciousness is you. So that is jiva. Jiva is now what? Unchanging consciousness. And then that unchanging consciousness is Ishvara. Still, however, on the apparent level, even though the equation operates on a kind of difficult level, because it's not a level that is very gross and immediately perceptible. The equation operates on a very subtle level. Jiva is equal to Ishvara is not immediately evident. It's like saying, 4 plus 5 is equal to 20 minus 11. Single digits one side, double digits another side, plus sign this side, minus sign that side, and the 8-year-old is scratching its head. What is this? How is this the same? And the 8-year-old cannot say, I have Shraddha in you, oh teacher, I believe you. Actually, the apparent differences have to be resolved one by one. At one end, 5 plus 4, that has to be resolved there into its common denominator. And here 20 minus 11 has also to be resolved before the underlying oneness is understood. The apparent differences are dismissed cognitively because are they there? Yes, they are there, but they don't matter because they belong to the category which neither can be confirmed nor can be denied. It's like a rumor. Somebody says something, Somebody is standing for election and something comes out, but then it can neither be confirmed. I mean, it's one thing if they have tweeted something, bad in their previous avatara or something like that. But otherwise, it's like a rumor. It cannot be confirmed. It cannot be denied. It just hangs like a fog. So here, that kind of a reality which can neither be confirmed nor be denied, it is better to dismiss it. And better to go to a plane, where you have the drishti of the whole. When you're driving around, especially on these coastal highways, suddenly there is a sign, Vista Point. You're supposed to stop and you're supposed to go and look out. And then you see mountains on one side, ocean on the other side, But that's where you came from. In fact, your house is also there, somewhere. But how come it didn't look so good? Because you had to walk to a different plane of reality in order to appreciate everything. And even your tiny house, which you can barely see, which is included in the vista, that vista becomes beautiful because you see the sky, the sun, the water, the rainbow, everything you see. And then your house, becomes a dot. There it is there. It gives you happiness looking at a little portion of it, but it is what it is just there. It is included in the whole. So too the jiva, when it looks at its own self, from the standpoint of the sad samsari, the struggling sad bird in search of berries, looks awful. I need a makeover, I need to do this, I need to do that. I need some, what is that called? Self-help lessons. No one is helped except the person who has charged for that, for those lessons. That person has helped because of yourself. Yeah. Therefore self-help. And They have helped themselves. That's all it is, to your money. And so therefore, this is that vista point means, abstracting from the finite, then only one is able to enjoy this vision. Because as long as one is mired in that, relentless karma phala, this kind of a thing, nothing happens. And then talking about the reality of the pot being led from place to place, it explains that further by using blatantly the word saha. You cannot say saha chaitanyam, you can say saha atma, but which atma is it? Which is Ishvara, the one that was revealed in the previous verse as a Mahavakya, where the Jiva was equated to Ishvara. And here it is talked about very beautifully, very subtle and beautiful. So it is not after the pot is made, correct? It is while the pot is being made. The potter keeps changing the shape. He throws the clay, she throws the clay on the wheel and then makes one akara and then says, no, this is too long. Make it small and fat. Now it is too fat. Now make it a little more. No, I want to make a square pot. Why only round pot? So let me just make the edges a little more, nuanced. So like this, the person keeps cutting the neck of the pot and cutting things and putting the extra clay over here, and then the new clay is taken, and that pot which was just made developed a crack. So again it is thrown on the wheel, and the wheel is what? Time, the space-time matrix. Really, the wheel is the space-time matrix. And my question now is, what is the raw material? We said it is just the knowledge of Ishvara, correct? Two ways of looking at the raw material. So the raw material for the pot that is repeatedly being made and destroyed is what? Clay. Abba, why it is taking so long? Where is the clay? The raw material with which the pot is repeatedly being thrown on the wheel and destroyed is what? Even now it took long. Let me ask one more time, hoping that the answer will come instantaneously. What is the raw material for the pot? Clay. This is the problem. Even after giving the answer, it doesn't come. Yeah. So, clay. Clay is the raw material, correct? Now, what is the raw material when Ishvara is, throwing whatever this constitutes this jiva? It's not, Ishvara is not creating the jiva, but creating the body, mind, sense complex, correct? And so what is the raw material? On the one hand we can say non-separate from itself. So the raw material is nothing but knowledge. So when we say fruit, what is this? Apple. Apple is, correct? Apple is. Apple is means what? Apple exists. Apple asti. Kashmira phalam. Kashmira phalam means the fruit found in Kashmir. Yeah, this is an ancient name. And this is given. This we have to keep on saying for people who think that Kashmir doesn't belong to India. Yeah, already, it's being cut everywhere. So, Kashmira phalam, the fruit that comes from Kashmir, because that's one of the few places you can grow apples. Himachal Pradesh being perhaps another. So, when I say this is apple, then we know it has a particular texture, it has a particular crispiness, it has a particular taste. Correct? All this is just apple knowledge. Apple means apple is not a self-existent thing. It's just knowledge with the word apple and what it means. And what it means is just knowledge. The name and the form is just knowledge. And what it constitutes is also just knowledge. Jnanam. The existence belongs to Ishvara, knowledge belongs to Ishvara. It is infinitely lovable, that also belongs to Ishvara, asti bhati priyam. What are you left with? You're just left with an app, that's all. That's all. You can download the app. It's all virtual reality, okay? Yeah. Apple gone. Apple has gone. Why? Because Apple is not a self-standing thing. So that Apple is just knowledge. And when I look upon Apple as all knowledge, then the Jagat becomes a manifestation of Bhagavan's knowledge. So what is Bhagavan repeatedly throwing on the wheel of time and creating repeatedly is, what is that raw material? Don't say clay now. Knowledge. Yeah, knowledge. All knowledge is repeatedly being crafted into various names and forms. That's all it is, and that's Maya's job. Maya says, you just, throw. I will take care of all the shaping, And then, that is one way to look at it. Another way, and it's not contradictory at all. When we think of a lump of clay taken from a big lump, it could also mean that the individual's journey through Sanchita Karma. Sanchita Karma is this horrendous, scary, frightening, overload, karmic overload of endless amounts of lifetimes that are sitting there in one's account as a potential to be fructified forever and ever and ever and ever. It's almost like the universe has a sense of humor. You want it forever? Here, take. Forever and ever and ever. How did I gather so much karma? Well, if you had one life, it's enough. Which kind of life? Human life where you could abuse your free will. Ayayyo. So, right now I'm a human being. Yes. Glad you noticed. And then what? Right now, that means I'm accruing endless karmas. Yes. So even previously when I was a human being, I accrued a lot of karma. Yes. Whenever, human or human-like. Maybe some planet, so many planets, Goldilocks planets they are discovering. And one planet may actually have a Goldilocks there, a alien. And if that Goldilocks from the Goldilocks planet has free will, that also accrues karma. Endless amounts of karma, and it's a big ball called what? Sanchita. Sanchitam karma. Sanchita means happily and nicely collected for a long periods. People collect things. People have doll collection, stamp collection, all these collections. And they say, come and look at my, collection. This is a collection you don't yourself want to see. Forget inviting friends to see because it's a horror show, It's a collection of all ghoulish things. And so therefore you want to put a curtain on it. Thankfully Maya obliges and puts a curtain on it. You don't know what is there. Thank God. For small mercies, thank Goddess. Okay, then what? Out of this Sanchita, a piece is broken. Like even out of this lump of clay, the potter breaks off a piece and kneads it lovingly in her hands, throws it on the wheel and crafts it into a particular kind of pot. You see? So here, this mantra, what do we have? The potter throwing the piece of the Sanchita Karma. A broken off piece of Sanchita Karma is called what? Prarabdham. Prak Arabdham. Sarirat Prak. Before this body. Before the body came to being already. See, the body is the pot, for example. But before the pot came into being, its volume, its mass, its size and its color, etc. is all already decided. This much only you can do. How much can you stretch? You keep stretching, it will break. This much only you can do with this much. So Ishvara as Karma Phaladata repeatedly obliges the jivas because why? They have endless karmas and of course once in a while they pray so it is mitigated. A glazed pot. What's a glazed pot? Slightly more, comfortable life. Like our, like our fellow here. He is elevated to what? Aristopot. Aristopot is wearing a crown of flowers on the head, at least one flower. So glazed pot, or maybe a pot with a glazed look, disconnected, which could also be a blessing. Sometimes seeing the early life, it's better sometimes, for the children, it's better that they just disconnect, because that is how it works. That's how the unconscious works. So it could be a glazed pot, it could be a leaky pot, it could be a crack pot, doesn't matter, it's all from that Sanchita. A little piece is broken off and presented. This is your thing, for this lifetime, this is your body. No, but it is my heart has a hole, doesn't matter. You transform it into holy, yes. Not a heart with a hole, holy heart, yes. So that is what is the separating factor here. Sahajanati, na ghataha. Here there is hardly any change from the drishtanta to the darshtanta. Saha here potter, Saha here Ishvara, who knows all the prarabdhas and all the sanchita karmas of all the jivas when Yugapat at once. And this is precisely what Arjuna is told by Lord Krishna in the 4th chapter. Imam vivasvate yogam proktaman aham avyayam vivasvan manave praha manuhu ikshvakave abravit. This karma yoga and jnana yoga, this knowledge and how to seek this knowledge, the vision and the way of life were given by me to the head of the solar dynasty called, because we had 2 dynasties, lunar and solar. The solar dynasty head was called Vivasvan. And Vivasvan taught to Manu, Manu taught to Ikshvaku, and Ikshvaku taught to his descendants. And this is how it has come, but unfortunately that way of life has been kind of forgotten. Sakalena iha mahata yogo karma yogaha nashtaha parantapa. And Arjuna is puzzled. He says, what? Aparam bhavato janma. You were born yesterday. Rohini nakshatra on a rainy day. Every year we celebrate your birthday. We make 56 kinds of sweets and offer to you. And then we put baby Krishna in the cradle and rock. Rohini nakshatra, we know your horoscope also. Aparam bhavato janma. Param janma vivasvatah. Vivasvan was born long before you were born just now. Vivasvan was born centuries ago. Kathametad vijaniyam tvam adav proktavaniti. How do I, put my mind around the fact that in the beginning of the yuga, you told to Vivasvan? How can I even wrap my mind around this fact? And Bhagavan tells very beautifully, Bahuni me vyatithani, janmani tavacharjuna. Both you and I have been around for a long time. Here he is speaking not as Mr. Krishna, but as Ishvara. And he is speaking to who? Jiva. So Jiva and Ishvara anadi. You and I, bahuni me vyatitani, janmani tavacha Arjuna. You and me have had many, don't get me started, many lifetimes. Oh, you are also like me? You are also have sanchita karma? You are also eking out prarabdha after prarabdha? No. What's the difference? Tani sarva vetha aham. Natvam vetha parantapa. Sarvam janami. I know my lifetimes, means each time I came as an avatara here, and I know myself, and I also know all your shoddy, sordid births. I know all of them, from the little creepy crawly to the little, flying thing, and then the hopping thing, and the, invisible but troublesome thing, like viruses, etc. I know all, I know your whole trajectory. You don't know yourself, your own trajectory. You don't know my trajectory either. You see? So it's a very interesting contrast. Here the oneness was being talked about in the 13th verse, and in the 14th verse, the apparent differences are focused on, so that I understand that at what level this equation works. Otherwise, it is not Vedanta. If you run around saying, I am God, it sounds rather odd. And then what? It goes dangerously into the shores of New Age territory. This is what there is a philosophy called New Age philosophy, which are our Purva Pakshis and our sparring opponents. In not that they are inimical to us, but they help us to build our strength in our argument by dropping the wrong notions. And so, what do the New Agers say? The New Agers say, what does the New Age people say? They say that you are one with God. They don't even use the word one. You are God. You are divine. Yes. That's why I don't use the word divine. Yeah. You are divine. You are God. And therefore what? Why are you poor? You can manifest. You need to manifest your money. How to manifest? No, you just think. Money. Where are you? Money. Manifest money. And then it so happened, Bhagavan was having a good time, looking at this fellow. So happened that this fellow went out to the road saying money, and then found a £5 note, okay, or a $5 bill. Less is better. $5 bill, found it on the road. And then this went to reinforce the fact that I am manifesting my own reality. This is not just an illusion, but a delusion, okay? Yeah. You don't have to manifest your own reality. Reality is already manifest. Manifest reality has to be Ishvarized. You don't need to manifest anything. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, connected to this, because this is all talking about the wheel and the potter. There is nothing to invent. There is nothing to manifest. There is nothing to demanifest. They do this also. If somebody is inimical to you, you just wish them away and they go away. And we say this, we had this a long time ago. In Atharva Veda, there are such spells, all kinds of spells. There is a story told. There is a story told that they had this practice in the courts, in the king's court, of Asthana Vidwan, musicians, astrologer, etc. Asthana Vidwan means the court musician who was given, a very good, status, and that person was, patronized by the king. And so it was a very prestigious title, Asthana Vidwan. And then you had to go through a competition because the king would choose, and not just the king based on his whims and fancy, but the king would have an appointed, body of other musicians to choose which one was the better one. So usually two or three people would come and perform to be chosen for this post. It was a competition. And then one time, this is a true story that happened in one of the small principalities in Tamil Nadu. One time, what happened was that the loser, literally and figuratively, knew that he was not as good. One of the musicians was not as good, and it was a competition. It was going to be a competition between two musicians. And then he approached a tantric and said, help me to get that post. And the tantric said, no problem, and gave some ashes and few things, a little coin and ashes, mantrified, and then said, just put it under his seat when no one is looking. And that he was the senior musician. And so he pretended to welcome that musician, garlanded him before the competition to show that there is no ill will. Oh, you are the senior, please bless me, and pretended to touch his feet and just snuck that thing under the seat. And then the competition began. And the senior musician was hale and hearty as ever, and suddenly developed a frog in the throat. Could not sing. Could not sing. And nobody knew till that day what had happened. And of course, this man got the post. It's the true story, told to me by the descendants of this this person. Yeah. And so as soon as that the senior musician, who was very good and it was just a no-brainer that he would be appointed, but the competition had to go through. And that senior musician, as soon as he left the seat, he had no problem singing. When he sat on the seat, he developed a big, I don't know why, one frog, series of frogs. All he could do was croak. Yeah. If he knew English, he would have said ribbit. That's it. So you don't need new age. This is all old age only. We have had all kinds of things. We have had all kinds of things. But this new age mentality is just poof, wish them away. You don't have to wish them ill. Wish them to be transferred. Let them move to a different town so that they are not in your face. But of course nothing happens. The only thing that builds is frustration as a result of this. So here we have the verse number 14 is encouraging us to see where the equation is operating, at what level. The equation is operating at the level of space-like consciousness, not at the level of the body, because the body is created. Of course, I didn't create this body. You ask the mother, did you create this body? Do you know how to make brains? And the mother will say, do you have brains? Is that why you're asking this question? Because you don't have any, You ask the mother, did you make the lungs? No. Did you make the heart? No. Did you make brains? I wish I knew how to make brains. I would have made some for you. Did you make kidneys? I only know how to make rajma, kidney beans. I don't know how to make kidneys. So somebody must have made. The mother's womb is just a receptacle. It's a gestational place, but something is happening. It's not happening randomly. So something is there, and the equation is not operating on the level of the karma phala giver and the karma phala receiver. No equation. Jiva not equal to sign Ishvara. But unfortunately, that's the level everybody looks for, that oneness. That's not the place to look for that oneness, because you look next to the pot. Now we go back to the pot. The pot with the human mind that has just been fresh off the wheel is looking at the sister pot. Oh, much better than me. What's wrong? What's wrong with me? You seem to be plumper and healthier. Look at me. I look like I'm ready to collapse. And you were made with a fresh batch of clay. I was made with a leftover batch of 2-3 pots, that were trimmed. I'm just a leftover pot, And so these are the complexes on the level of the body, mind, sense complex. Don't look for anything except complexes. Don't look for oneness. Don't look for Jiveshvara Aikya. Don't look for Mahavakya to operate. It will not. Mahavakya will just clam up and refuse to talk. But you are supposed to be Mahavakya. No, not at this level. At this level there is Bheda. And what kind of Bheda is it? As though Bheda. Because really speaking, no karma. And if there is no karma, if I am like that space-like consciousness, if I am Ishvara, do I have karma? No. So then what is this Sahajanati? He knows all my lives and I don't know my life. As though on the level of this separation, and so that separation doesn't cause anxiety. All this whole model of karma, jiva, Ishvara, and then this praying pot. Praying pot says, give me a good body. Bhadram karne vishriyama deva. Give me a good pair of ears. Yeah. I want to do Shravanam. Pot is saying, And then, and then that's how it is. So it prays. And then, Ishvara says, all right. Big ears. Elephant life, flap, 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 flap. So like this is not at the level where the, Aikya, oneness operates. The oneness operates after transcending the apparent reality. And how do you transcend it? You don't believe in it. You go deeper and you resolve the Tvam-pada on one side, the meaning of the word you, and you resolve the Tat-pada, the meaning of the word Ishvara. You have to shake out this Tvam, this fellow who's got a lot of dust and dirt. When the dog comes out of the water or after rolling in the dirt, what does it do? It gives itself a good shake. That's what you have to do to this jiva. Take the fellow out of this, mud bath of samsara and shake the person out. What obtains is consciousness. But why only me? No, we are going to do it to Ishvara too. And you take Ishvara, shake Ishvara out. All that crown, fadar falls down, scepter falls down, crown falls down, cape falls down, everything falls down. What remains is consciousness. This side, what was remaining? Unconsciousness? No, consciousness. So that consciousness is equal to this consciousness. So on that level, on the level of Chaitanya, on the level of Brahman, the equation operates. Brahman plus all knowledge, Ishvara. Brahman minus all knowledge, Jiva. 5 plus 4, 9. And 11 minus 20, 20 minus 11, also 9. That's what it is. So that knowledge, that all knowledge, which is an embellishment for this Chaitanya, for this consciousness, is called Ishvara. It's just a name and form. Ishvaratvam is name and form. And this Brahman, where the knowledge is, comes down in the form of a thick veil called ignorance. Brahman plus ignorance. And what kind of a plus for limitless Brahman? And as though plus a value added plus. A plus that doesn't matter. And so Brahman plus ignorance, is what? Jiva Bhuhu. This is what it is. So give the two fellows a big nice shake and you find out that all the costumes drop, and in fact there are no two fellows, there is only one. And that one, Tad Brahma Ahamasmi iti jnatva Brahma sampadyate dhruvam. Very beautiful. Fantastic. So we have to understand, and this Upanishad helps us to see where that oneness operates. And yet the person, even after knowing this, maybe, in fact will be in the state of prarabdha, in the state with the body doesn't fall off with the gain of the knowledge, thank God. Otherwise no one will come near Vedanta. You put a center, you put a board, Vedanta Center. It will make people just avoid the whole road. Because the person immediately saw, oh, I have the space like Chaitanya, I am not this body, I am not this mind. Yippee! Finished. No gurus will be there to teach. Because the guru would have been already got moksha in more ways than one. Yeah. And the Shishya will not come in near, because the Shishya can only come after Guru is there. Guru itself is not available. So everybody will be frightened of this. Because here I want oneness and I want to be there forever. And here it's going to take out the body, mind, sense complex. No need. So prarabdha continues, correct? Why? Because this lump of clay has been thrown on the wheel of time, and the wheel of time will do its ravages on this clay. It will happen, it is subject to the vagaries of all the 5 elements including time, and then the body, like I told you yesterday, is like the dried leaf. One dried leaf goes into the compost, another one, becomes the victim of a playful cat. The third one goes in the storm drain, like this. The 4th one gets stuck in the gutter and gives grief to all, So like this it is. It's got many possibilities. And so the Prarabdhaya samarpitam svavapuhu. I'm telling this for people who are missing Manisha Panchakam, so they feel good. So, one's vapuhu, vapus means body, the body is given over to prarabdha. And this repeated throwing is not going to, is not going to faze me. In fact, there is no repeated throwing. Why? We already saw punar janmana vidyate tasya. There is no repeated throwing. The last lump has been thrown. But what about sanchita karma? But that has also gone away. Yes, it has gone away. How did it go away? Because you stopped identifying with it. If you keep, if you're active in the bank account, you keep going to the bank, finding out how much money you have, or online you keep making transactions, you take out some from the account, you put some in and your salary goes. Like this, if there is activity, as long as there is activity, the account is open, correct? Supposing there is no activity, it is, they close it, they freeze it. So it's like a frozen bank account, the sanchita. You can't access it because you have repudiated it. You have said this bank account doesn't belong to me. I am Shuddha Chaitanya. This doesn't belong to me. What about agami karma? The person who is worthy of this knowledge is a dharmic person. So the person is not going to keep on thinking how to cut corners and get what I want, because there is nothing to say what I want. There are no wants. And since the pressures of the wants are not there, there is no pressure to cut corners. So therefore, the agami karma is not there. Sanchita is frozen. Why? Because the karta is falsified. So therefore, the karma and the karma phala are frozen, falsified. It's like that game you played, statue, when you were children. Yeah. When somebody says statue, and you have to just freeze in that. So just like that. The moment the clarity comes, sanchita karma, statue, cannot move. It has been petrified, literally, figuratively. Yeah, it is afraid of you now. And it is not even there because it is mithya. That is how the karma model functions. But still this is given on many levels. You can even take it as a manifestation of Ishvara's knowledge. So the knowledge of a particular body-mind-sense complex, that knowledge is culled and thrown on the wheel of time, and then it is there. But I like also the karma. I like also the karma explanation. There is something very beautiful about it. Sajanati cha nityashaha. Nityashaha means all the time. All the time. Okay, now, next one. Shabdamaya vrito naiva.
Shabdamaya vrito naiva.
Tamasayati pushkare.
Tamasayati pushkare.
Bhinne tamasi chaikatvam.
Bhinne tamasi chaikatvam.
Eka evanupashyati.
Eka evanupashyati.
Again, another beautiful verse with another metaphor. And we will be looking at this as well. And so what is this here? What is the connection, the sangati, let us see, between 14 and 15. 14, one can say that, okay, I am still at the level of the jiva being thrown on the wheel of the potter, which is Ishvara, and so I am still separate. How come if I am one, I can't get over this karma? This karma is just too much. If this karma wasn't there, of course I am Ishvara. But this stupid karma that keeps fructifying every single day, in every single way, is just, taunting me on the sides. And I don't like this at all. So can this karma, what to do? Because this separation is very much there. Why this separation is there? Even after 14 verses of this Upanishad, I still feel separate. Kimartham, why? This answers that question. Very, very beautiful. Easy also to understand. Avritaha, jivaha, we have to supply. Avritaha Jivaha. How? Tamasa. Tamasa Avritaha Jivaha. And even if you don't know Sanskrit, it's very easy. Tamas you know. Avrita, I already told you, Samvrita had come, covered. Jiva you know very well, intimately. And so, Shabdamaya Avritaha. Sorry, don't take Shabdamaya now. Tamasa Avritaha Jivaha. One clause. Okay? So, Tamasa Avritaha Jivaha Nayati Pushkare. Pushkar is a holy place in Rajasthan. So, if you are ignorant, you don't go to Rajasthan. Nayati. No, that's not the idea. Pushkara means many things. Pushkara has two meanings. It has many meanings, but two are two kind of apply here, and we are going to look at those two meanings. First meaning is space, sky, space. Pushkara, that is the most applicable to our discussion here. Our discussion is what? All about pot and space. So, Pushkara is equal to space. Pushkare, in Pushkara, to Pushkara, Nayati. So, doesn't reach space. Oh, but we have gone to space. In fact, people have spent 1 year in space, and people have gone to, people have gone to moon. What do you mean that the person doesn't reach space? Which space? Pot space. That's why I said don't forget verse number 13, because now we are going. What did it say over there? Jivo nabhopamaha. Jiva is equal to space. Of course, we have to extrapolate and understand which space. It's not head space. Okay? We have to really understand which space one is talking about. Not stomach space, head space. What is signified by the pot space is being indicated in verse number 13. And you see, therefore, here, Nayati Pushkare doesn't become one with space, or rather doesn't identify, cannot identify with that consciousness that is represented by Pushkara. Here the second meaning of Pushkara is lotus, especially of the blue variety. Blue lotus is called what? Pushkara. And interestingly, the verbal derivation of Pushkara, push to nurture, karoti, pushnati iti pushkaraha. So the one that nurtures, and nothing nurtures like Chaitanya, self-knowledge, because it nurtures everything. It even nurtures avidya until it is called and put, it accommodates everything. It nurtures everything. That's the verbal meaning. And then what? So, Nayati Pushkare means doesn't attain or understand that oneness. Feels always alienated from consciousness. That's the idea. Who tamasa avritaha, and we have to bring down the word jiva from verse number 13. And tamasa avritaha jivaha, and that jiva also is there in number 14. Tad bhagnam jivaha na janati, janati saha nishchayah nityashah. And same jiva, tamasa yati na yati pushkare. Who? Jiva. Covered, because of the covering. Remember, we took off the covering of the jiva and Ishvara? Yeah. What was there? Same thing. Same consciousness. So how come I don't reach, quote unquote, that consciousness, or I don't understand I am that consciousness? It's because you have taken that cloak, you have identified with the cloak. Since you have identified with the cloak, you are unable to see that you are nothing but that consciousness. And what is the cloak made up of? It is given in the first two words, Shabda Maya. Cloak is made up of Maya, so it's not my fault. No. Cloak is made up of Shabda Maya. Maya in the form of words. Concepts. All kinds of concepts and notions expressed through words. Tall, thin, long, short. My name is so and so. My identity is so and so. I'm a engineer, I'm a dancer, I'm a singer, I'm a plumber, I'm an electrician. And like this, all of those are what? They are all Shabdamaya. They are finite words that confuse this person into identifying with them, and therefore the infinite is missed because of the identification with the finite words. Very interesting. Not just words, but the concepts of what the words convey, because the word goes along with the meaning. You cannot imagine a word which has no meaning. What's the point? So the word which has a meaning, is what is being talked about here. And so the meanings of those words have become an oppressive, stifling, suffocating cloak of tamas. This includes all the concepts seen earlier. Nayayika, Vaisheshika, Charvaka, Visvaka. Yeah. All these convincing people. And who with their sweet words belie the truth and take you away from the search itself. The quest itself is compromised. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipashtitah vedavadaratav partha nanyadasti iti vadinah kamatmanah swargaparaha janma karma phalapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishwarya gatim prati bhogaishwarya prasaktanam taya apahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadhau na vidhiyate. Where have we seen this? Gita. Which chapter? No. Not this time. Huh? Yeah. Which chapter? Yeah, second chapter we have studied this along with Bhashya. So, it's Lord Krishna warns Arjuna. Vyavasayatmika buddhi eka iha kuru nandana vyavasayatmika buddhi nishchayatmika buddhi. Be of one resolve. Choose that one thing. Choose to know that one thing because of which everything is as well known. So choose to know yourself because you are the whole, you are the truth, you are that space-like consciousness which is not inhibited by anything. But here unfortunately space itself feels imprisoned. Why? Cloaked in the stifling and suffocating words. And then it says, Bhagavan says, continues further. It's a very beautiful section. And he says that, that they yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipashtitah. So if you don't make that resolve to know yourself, then you will be the target of people with flowery talk, pushpitam vak. So with flowery talk, they lead you. And what do they say? They lead you back to the first portion of the Veda of desire, the treatise of desire fulfillment from which you emerged with great difficulty and prepared yourself. They lead you back there. That's not what we mean by U-turn. Don't go back there. You stop this whole, cause and consequence and raga dvesha based pursuits and I want to fulfill this and fulfill that. You just stop doing that and came here. And these flowery talk people lead you back there. Kriya vishesha bahulam. Through various kriyas. Catch the nose, catch the toes, do this puja, do that puja. And not that anything wrong with doing puja, but do only this, do only that. Stand on the head. All these various things they tell you in lieu of self-knowledge. And then what they say, na anyadasti iti vadinah. There is no other way except this. And who are they? Kamatmanah. They are whole, from head to toe they are desire. They are the embodiments and incarnation of desire. In fact, the desire is the Atma for whom? That is Kamatma. They are the very incarnation of desire, just like Lord Rama was the incarnation of Dharma. They are the incarnation of desire. Svargaparaha. They are not interested in this life. They are just reserving a seat in heaven. Dharma, karma, phala, pradam. So they only they are punya hogs. That's all that is. Karma, phala, hogs. And then what? Bhogaishvarya prasaktana. So they are only interested in two things: power and bhoga, enjoyment and power. And of course money, in order to enjoy and enjoy. That's all it is. Taya apahrita chetasam, because their hearts have been hijacked by that. And for such people, they are unable to get a resolve. And please don't join their ranks, O Arjuna. Lord Krishna tells him. And so similarly here, Shabda Maya Jala, there is a netting of Shabda, which is really, like a magical net of words that stifle this poor consciousness. Consciousness which cannot be stifled, complains as it were, let me out. Is the net real? No. Is the cloak real? No. Uncloak the cloak because it's made of words. That's all it is. Shabda Jala, and then Nayati Pushkare. So does not identify with the space. Identifies instead with what? Pot. If we look at it as a connecting verse. Identifies not with the space, but with the pot, the upadhi, the body, mind, senses. And of course, if you identify with one pot as you, then the other pot becomes what? Not you. And you have some issues with the not you. And everything that surrounds you is not you, not you, not you. And that causes fear. Too much not you, only me, and so many other things causes great fear. So, tamasa avritaha jivaha shabdamaya is the material, just like you have cotton, silk, polyester. This cloak is made of a very thick material. What is that? The veil of words. Pun intended. Wailvein. Yes, the lament of words or the veil, the covering of words, misguided words, finite words, with which I identify all kinds of concepts, all kinds of beliefs, all kinds of wrong ways of looking at it. Vaisheshika words, Nayayika words, Purvamimamsaka words, Charvaka words, Bauddha words, all the words, New Age words, they all conceal me from myself. They conceal this space from the ahankara who is the seeker. That should make it very clear. And then what? Bhinne tamasi, when this tamas disperses, bhinna means shatters. When this cloak shatters, what is left? Ekaha, bhinne tamasi cha, and when this cloak shatters, what happens? Ekaha. What is left? Ekaha. It's like a big, what they, in these Western countries, they make one dish, like something they will make. And then they'll put one round covering on it. What is that called? Not cloak. Something else. It's a French word. Cloche. 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 Not cloak. Cloche. It's a big steel round thing which is the size of a plate. And so you make the food and put it on a plate and then you put a big covering, cloche. Correct? So, and then, so you remove the cloche, and what is there? Just this oneness is there. One person is there. Ekaha. It's not like hundreds of people are under this cloche. No. It's not you along with a few wrong concepts. No, the wrong concepts is this cloche. And the cloche is removed and this dish is revealed. And who is this dish? The one that thought I am being dished out at. Yes, that's the one. The one who is revealed is the one is searching for. And so there is the pun on the word one. Let us look at that in this verse. So, bhinne tamasi cha. And when the ignorance is, shattered, what happens? Ekaha, ekatvam. So oneness is there. First let us look at this. So when the tamas is shattered, oneness is revealed under the cloak. Okay? And then what? Ekaha eva anupashyati. So the one that was revealed only sees oneness. That's the idea. The one that was revealed after the cloches were removed, Ishvara cloche, Jiva cloche, Mayik cloche, and all kinds of nonsensical word cloche. The cloches were removed, and what was revealed was not two, but one, and that one saw oneness everywhere. Nice, no? Yeah, needs a little explanation, but very nice. So what is the explanation here? How, if I am seeing oneness, what am I seeing? If everything is oneness, there should be nothing to see. But so here, the seeing is knowing. And also, it's not that, what is revealed under the cloche is khichdi. Where all this khichdi is a quintessential Indian dish. One pot Indian dish where you put lentils, rice, vegetables, salt, few spices, ghee, and then you cook it out of existence, literally. So you cannot discern the individual components. It has all become a big, what you call in this country, a melting pot. Correct? So it's not that Jiva and Ishvara dal, Jiva rice, and has mixed together and all, and then salt, ghee, Jagat, the various other objects in the Jagas. So Ishvara, Jiva, Jagat have become khichdi under this cloche. That's not the disclosure, okay? It's not like that. And then you say, oh, why didn't I know this? Ishvara looks wonderful for lunch. Very aromatic smell also is coming. Brahmarpanam Brahmari. That's not the idea. That's not the idea at all. It's not three becoming one. Jiva, irritant Jagat, irritable Jiva, irritant Jagat, and beautiful Ishvara all coming together as one, like in khichdi. You put the pressure cooker, you cover it, and then you let it, veil for a bit, and then you remove the veil, and wow, khichdi is ready. This is not khichdi. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, khichdi. No. Before I saw three, but now I see only one. So it's a visionary revolution, a revolution of the vision because of the study of the Upanishad under a visionary who was taught by another visionary. So that is the vision. The assimilated vision sees that all was one to begin with. The three was just a spoof. I saw three because there was some dust which had gone in the eye. And the Guru wiped the eyes and blew into the eyes for the dust to leave. And then what did I see? Only one. That's all it is. So it's not that Jiva and Jagat, Satyam and Mithya Khichdi. No, not possible. Even stone soup you can make. The story of stone soup? Yes. Yeah, stone soup possible to make, but you cannot make Satyam Mithya Khichdi. Not possible. It's like saying, I will make shadow payasam. Payasam is some kind of kheer, pudding. What kind of pudding? Pudding mixed with light and shadow. Milk and its shadow in the payasam. You can't make shadow payasam. You cannot mix shadow into anything. Okay? So, therefore, here it's not that the three have become one, and it's not that the Jagat has disappeared. Both of those things you have to, put aside. Even though spiritually romantic it may sound, that everything has everyone is living happily ever after. No. That's not what you are after, okay? Ever. And so, therefore, you have to come back here to see it from a different standpoint. Is that what I thought was 3 was because of a disruption in the vision brought on by the irritant called tamas. The tamas had covered the eyes, so I couldn't see properly. I saw some shadows, and then I assumed there were 3. 3 frightening shadows: Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. So, but that was a mistake. The mistaken perception is corrected, and what is left is this one fellow, the suffering fellow who is no longer suffering, now enlightened, and then what? And what is left is that person discovers oneself as Ishvara and non-separate from the whole Jagat. Everything that one sees is Ishvara, 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 Ishvara alone. What Jagat? Jagat is Ishvara. I told you, this is just knowledge. And knowledge belongs to Ishvara. Is, apple is, isness belongs to Ishvara. That's why the first 2 letters of Ishvara spell I-S, is. Yeah. And the first letter is I. That is shown as I. So that ekatvam pashyati, ekam pashyati doesn't mean that only sees one and all the Jagat has collapsed. No. The Jagat has virtually collapsed as a separate reality and a scary reality for this person. The Jagat doesn't have to collapse. The Jagat is seen as an extension of Ishvara or as an extension of oneself, which is one and the same thing. So, bhinne tamasi cha ekatvam ekaha anupashyati. Ekaha eva anupashyati. So this one fellow remaining after all the words have had their say and had their day and the words depart, not being able to capture the Atma as an object. Vaisheshika goes home sadly, not being able to infer the Atma. Nayayika goes home sadly along hand in hand with Vaisheshika along with his net, because the net was the net gain of logic. And then what? Purva Mimamsaka goes back sadly because Purva Mimamsaka denies even that there is a last portion of the Veda, stuck in the first portion. Charvaka goes home sadly. All of these defeated fellows, Bauddha, Sankhya, Saishvara Sankhya, Nirishvara Sankhya, all these words, a trap of words, they all go home not having captured that which is not capturable because it is you. Yato vacho nivartante apraapya manasa saha. Having not gained the Atma as an object, all these concepts have to be dismissed in the light of that knowledge. And when they are burnt away, when that cloak is burnt away, that one person is only remaining, and that one person sees only oneness. It's almost it's a very beautiful pun. More we shall see, I think on Tuesday. So we have now 6 verses and then 3 classes. Yeah, so Tuesday and Friday, 4 classes. Okay, never mind. So thank you for giving me this extra session, and for which I am very grateful, very happy. And there is a question here, I will answer that and then we'll say the closing prayer. Question or comment, something. Does wishing something bad for another person in the mind also constitute as karma? Not always, no. If it gets to the level of plotting, then yes. If it's just wishing once, why do you exist if you out of a fit of rage do that, And similarly, is it papa to think, don't say sin, papa, is it papa to think of someone bad about another person? Again, not if it's a one-time occurrence. Yeah, if you're angry, one-time occurrence, no problem. Oh, Karthik and Nirmala got that it was from the 2nd chapter of the Gita, and also got that it was verses 43 to 46. Fantastic, congratulations. Yeah. You listen to the recorded version, no problem. That's why we have the recording. Nice to see you here. Briefly, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. 4 o'clock what? Panchadashi. And that will conclude the Saturday-Sunday marathon. So hang in there, okay? Tomorrow you can sleep in.